Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Mike and today we are going to be doing another declutter, and this is going to be the cheek product declutter. So we've got liquid highlighters and like liquid products over here. We've got face palettes, we've got bronzers, highlighters, and then we've got the blushes in the back. So we're gonna work our way through this, and these videos always come with a bit of a disclaimer which I will be putting up on the screen right now. So please pause the video so you can read my disclaimer, because it would take up minutes of this video for me to explain everything to you, and I could just make it a little easier this way. So if you know where I'm want to know where I'm coming from with these declutters and how I go about them, then please read that. And then we're just going to get to the declutter. So let's get started. So I'm going to be moving the bronzers and the highlighters out of the way so that we can focus on the face palettes and the liquid stuff first, or the cream liquid stuff. Then we'll do blushes and then we'll save these towards the end. I just wanted to show you everything in one shot. So let me see if I can move this. So these are all of my face palettes, and we've got a little bit of contouring here, some highlighting stuff, some things that have blushes in. These are quite new to me, in case you didn't know about these yet. So yeah, we're just going to walk you through, and there are some things I'm going to get rid of. I'm not a huge fan of face palettes. That's why I don't have too many. I tend to mainly use these when I travel, and when I travel I have two firm favorites, and it's these two right here. So the Sleek Face Form in Fair, the bronzer, the blush, and the highlighter, all three work for me, and this is so nice and compact, and yeah, it's great for travel, so I use that all the time. And then the e.l.f. palette, so in case you remember these, they did this in a highlighter, a blush version, and then there was a bronzer contour one. And what I did, I owned all three and I put them all together into one palette. So I've got my best like bronzer and contour from those palettes, the best blush and the best highlighter. So again, this is one I like to travel with. I think we're gonna go on to what's here in the middle, which would be my contouring stuff. And contouring wise, I think I'm going to get rid of most of these because I don't contour, and there's actually a bronzer that I do use when I like to contour, and I'm just not really getting the use out of these products at the moment, so I'm going to get rid of most of these. The Kat Von D KVD Beauty Shade and Light, this is gonna go. I haven't reached for this in a year, even though I do like these products, but I know if I want to do a contour, I can do it with products that I am going to be keeping, and I don't need to keep this bulky one around for that purpose. And I also feel the same way about this very old Prime and Fine contour palette from Catrice. They still do renditions of this palette, like new versions come out, but I find that this is still the best one, which is why I kept it around. I just don't use it, so that can go. And the Wet n Wild one I decluttered last year, but I pulled it out once I had finished my declutter because I thought I could use the creamy shade as like a cream colored eyeshadow to set my base with. So I pulled it into my Shop My Stash drawer, but it's been sitting there for a year and I still haven't used it for that purpose. So I know I will be decluttering some single shadows that can do that for me as well. So I don't need to keep this bulky thing around to just use as a cream colored shade to set my base with. I don't need it. And the one I'm going to keep, I think, is the W7 Hollywood Bronze and Glow. I struggle getting rid of this thing because this was one of the first bronzers that really worked on me. I never really used this for contouring, and I am sort of tempted to still at some point buy the original of this, which is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow, and to then be able to see if they're anything like each other. I didn't really go much for the highlighter in this, but the bronzer is a long-standing love. And then I still have something, because this is a more cooler tone bronzer, so I could use it for contouring, and it is a lovely bronzer. I also know I'm going to get rid of this Catrice Romantic Gardens face palette. It's lovely, it's just that I just prefer my e.l.f. and Sleek palettes for when I travel. This is a bit bigger, even though it does have a really good sized mirror, but the bronzer is a bit too deep. I would never go for an orange tone blush like that, and I would only really use one of these two highlighters, so for me it's just doing a bit too much, and that's why I don't want to keep it. And then of these highlighter palettes, because these are kind of like highlighter palettes over here, I also know I can get rid of the Catrice one. I kept the Luminize Highlight and Blush Glow palette because I really like this highlighter, so that's why it's with the highlighting palettes. This is the only shade really that works as a blush on me. This was too deep, but this highlighter shade was lovely. But I now have a single highlighter from Catrice that I love even more, so that's why this one can go. And these two I think I'll keep. The Anastasia Moonchild I don't really use as a highlighting palette. I kind of use this mainly as an inner corner highlight thing, or if I want to use a fun like popper shade. I don't have a lot of these like green or blue or purple highlighters as singles because I have this palette. So for me, if I want to do something differently, this is just the palette to go for. So that's why I always keep this around, even though it doesn't get a lot of use in my makeup collection. And this is quite new to me. This is the Laura Geller Life Glows On High Def Glow Illuminator palette. And it's got 3 of her swirl highlighters. And this was a formula I still wanted to try. And I found this at TK Maxx for €7. So I was pretty happy with it. The only one I don't really like is the very yellow toned one in the middle. But I do really like these two on the outer edge. And since this is newer to me, I'm going to keep it. But I think I'll try and put it with my single highlighters, because then I'm more inclined to put it in a Shop My Stash. And then we have these ones left. This is a Depotted Benefit Cheekathon palette. I kept the shades that I liked the best. I already had a single of Coralista that also came in this set. But to be quite fair, I don't reach for this. Hula is too dark. Dandelion isn't the same Dandelion that I remember it being from having owned it as a single. That got old and had to be decluttered. And these two shades just don't do anything for me. So what I'm going to be doing with these products is that I'm going to take them out, but I'm going to be keeping the Z palette that it's in. So I'm getting rid of the product, but this is, I think, a great palette to travel with if I want to like customize a little like 9-pan eyeshadow palette for myself or anything like that. I think it's a good size. And then these two, the Natasha Denona Love Glow and Bronze Cheek palettes. This was a bit of a cheeky purchase of mine. I don't think I actually already showed these on my channel or on my blog, because they're very recent purchases. So this is the Love Glow, and this is one that when it released last year, I was very tempted by it because it's got the fun packaging, but also these shades just really, really speak to me. It's got creams and then it's got powders at the bottom. I think the only one I can't really get away with is this bottom one, but this is one where I really want to play around with it to see how it works on me. And then these actually came in a set that I found on Beautylish, and buying them together was as good of a deal as buying just one of them, I believe. So it was a really good deal. And this is what the Bronze Cheek palette looks like. And in here, I feel perhaps this shade may be difficult for me to pull off, but the other ones I think I can make work. So that's why I thought these would make a nice little combo of some Natasha Denona cheek products. And one of the things I wanted to try in 2021 were Natasha Denona cheek products. So these are not going to go anywhere. These I'm going to keep around. So I started off with 13 face palettes. I'm getting rid of 5 and I'm keeping 8. So that's about a third of the collection gone again. Okay, so welcome to my cream and liquid section. I do have a couple of cream bronze blushes that are with my blushes. For instance, this little Milk makeup thing, but I thought I'd keep all the blushes together. And I don't own that many cream blushes, so it's mainly bronzer, contouring, and especially highlighters, because I do like a good liquid highlighter, as you will see in a minute. But there are again things that can go because I don't use all of these things. So the first thing I see here that I can get rid of is the Catrice Triangle Artist Contour Stick. This is also a little bit old, so I'm not sure if this is still any good, and because it's a cream, I just don't want to risk it. This was a lovely cream contour, but since I hardly ever contour, I don't need to keep this around. Two that can also go are the L'Oreal and Maybelline liquid highlighters. I kept these around last year in like my makeup purgatory kind of box, because in 2020 I did a full face of Maybelline and a full face of L'Oreal, but these were already on the 2D clutter pile last year, so these can definitely go. This bronzer by Catrice, I was trying to shake it up, and it kind of works, but it may just be a little bit, I don't know, dried up. It is a little older. Let me see if this still works. Oh no, this is just completely dried out. I don't use liquid bronzer all that much, but this was nice, but it was a bit deep for me, so it only really worked in the summertime anyways, so I think that after all these years, it's time for it to go. And I actually have a good replacement for that product, because I just got myself the Milk Makeup bronzing stick. I'm not sure what this is called. The shade is called Bake. Mine had a bit of an accident though, because these come with a little lid, and the lid was stuck to the product. So when I took the lid off to swatch it for the first time, I kind of nicked the rest of the product. But yeah, this is going to stay because it's very new. And the same goes for the highlighter in Lit. I just got this one in a mini. The bronzing mini, like this still has a cap on because that didn't mess up the product. But this I wanted to try as a mini, but the bronzer isn't available as a mini in Europe. So that's why I have that one as a full size. So those I want to keep because those are new. I'm going to get rid of the Maybelline Face Studio Chrome Jelly Highlighter in Metallic Rose. It's pretty, but it's too dark. This Essence product, the Glow Glow Go highlighter, is actually really new to me as well. This is a newly launched product from Essence, so want to keep that around. I'm going to keep the Benefit What's Up Mini because I like that in the summertime, but I'm getting rid of High Beam. I just don't really go for these very icy pink highlighters all that much anymore, so this can go. I do really like these Galactic highlighting drops, but I'm trying to shake them up. And again, I think these may have just dried up too much. These were really pretty by Catrice. Yeah, see, there's hardly, like, it's just really, really thick. So, but they were like this, like, duochrome kind of thing. So they were pretty. And I think the last time I went through my highlighters, these still worked, but they're just a bit thick and gloopy. So those can go. They were fun while they lasted. But I've got a couple of really good replacements for it. But yeah, these L'Oreal Glow Amour highlighting drops. This I actually bought because of my full face of L'Oreal, and it was one of the products I really liked in that video. So these I do want to keep around. And I still have a liquid highlighter kind of thing. And these Essence ones, they are really nice too. But I think that these are both gold, so I don't need to keep both. And I like the L'Oreal ones better. And I don't use these products all that often, where I really feel it's warranted to keep so many around. So I'm going to get rid of the Essence ones. I've had those for a while. The thing I cannot get rid of though is the Glossier Halo Scope and Quartz. This I love. So this is going to stay. And I'm not sure what to do with this. This is the Bouncy Bronzer from Catrice. And it's a jelly liquid bronzer. And it's super duper shimmery, but it is really pretty. And I don't, like the other liquid bronzer that I'm getting rid of was also like a more shiny kind of number. So I think I'm going to keep this one around to replace that. This was also bought a little bit later, so I know it's still okay. So I started off with 15 liquid highlighters. I'm getting rid of 8 and I'm keeping 7. Alright, so these are all of my blushes. I am going to organize these a little bit before we go into the declutter. As you can see, there's way too much here, but blush has... At the end of 2020, I really went on a blush hype, so I bought a lot of new stuff, and there are a lot of things that I like, but there's also some things in here where I'm like, I know I can get rid of those. So what I'm going to be doing with the blushes is that I'm going to organize them roughly by color, so that I can also see if I don't have too many of the same shades, because I think that that's definitely something that happens if you buy quite a lot of blushes. So let me do that, and then we'll get to the rest of the declutter. Alright, so I don't think I really did it really well for the camera angle, but I want to keep some space here in the middle so I can show you things. So we've got like neutral blushes over here, we've got plums over here, we've got really shiny, glowy blushes over here. That's where I've expended the most. These are like, I don't know, mauve-y kind of things, like deeper mauve-y things. So I feel they're deeper than this. Then I have like my Ultimate Summertime blush bronzery combos. Pinks. We've got purples in the back. We've got like hot, like really vibrant corals and stuff like that. I've got a bit of purple and, no, I've got red going on in the corner, and this is bright pinks. Like these like really sort of vibrant pinks. And I've got like peaches and corals in the middle. Let me just start here, because in this section I feel I have a couple of really firm favorites, and those are the ones that I reach for all the time, and I definitely don't need to keep all of them. If we're then talking favorites, Benefit Coralista, I've hit pan on this for a reason, of course, so that's gonna stay. And also Tarte's Achiote is one that I don't want to get rid of. So those are definite keeps. I've got a couple of others in here that I like, but this MAC blush in Warm Soul is going to go in my back to MAC pile. I've owned this for years and it looks barely used because it's a bit bit too warm toned for my complexion, so it doesn't work as well, I feel. This Jouer Duo, this is one of their minis in, what's the shade again? It's Rose Gold with Marigold and Rose Petal. And this is really lovely, but I would reach for Coralista over this any time of day. So for me, it was great. I wanted to try the formula. I really like the formula. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just I have too many of these shades. And if I then have to choose between things, then this is the one that I know I won't reach for. So this is gonna go. So I know there's a couple of things here that I definitely want to keep. For instance, this blush lighter from Essence. Wow, this is really lovely in the spring summer season. It is a bit lighter, so for my fair skin it works really well. This is in Peach Dawn, or Peachy Dawn. This is really lovely. And the same goes for the Mini Gold Rush from Benefit. This is like a lighter peachy glowy shade. I really love this. I think it's stunning. I actually kind of regret right now not owning a full size of this, but it's going to take me ages to get through blush, so I don't mind. And then over here I've got some like stronger peachy shades. So I've got Life's a Peach from L'Oreal, which is just far too orange, and I don't like it. And I finally got my hands on all of the in-stain blushes from the Balm. I wanted to make sure I had the full collection. And this is also orange, but it's a bit more muted. So that's why this does work on me. And I love the formula of these. This is Swiss Dot. And then I got a couple left here. And I am inclined to keep all three of them because they are loves. So the Catrice Blush Box Glowing Multicolor in Dolce Vita is one of my favorite peachy blushes, so that's gonna stay. And I like to have Catrice blushes in my collection. Luminoso from Milani. The packaging is so bulky though, but this is one that I have used. However, I can only use this in like really when it's summer, because the shade is too deep for me for like 9 months out of the year. So the majority of the year, I can't wear this because it's too dark. And looking at what I'm keeping, for instance, this blush lighter I can wear in the spring and the summer. The same for the Mini Gold Rush. This peachy shade works for me much more universally. So I think I can get rid of Milani's Luminoso. However, this may have to go into a purgatory box for now because I want to film a full face of Milani. It may be up by the time I post this video. But yeah, this is one that I may have to keep around for now, but it is going to go onto the declutter pile. And then Hot Mama from the Balm. I love the Balm's cheek products, so I have a tendency to keep all of them. But to be quite fair, I haven't reached for the shade in such a long time. So this may be one that I sort of want to keep around in purgatory because it's the Balm and I don't want to break up my collection, which I know sounds horrible, but I would reach for Coralista over Hot Mama any time of day. So this is one that's good for swatches, good for comparisons. I've kept this over Narcissus Orgasm in the past, but I don't need to keep this in my actual collection, I feel. So I've laid out the next section of blushes, and those would be my like neutral blushes, and this is my favorite area of blush. So there's a couple here that I know I won't get rid of, but I think I can do with another cull, you could say. So what I love and what got the love train started, if you don't know, is Tawny Peach from H&M. So that's a definite keep, even though I don't reach for that one a whole lot anymore. I think last year I did a full face of Korean beauty, and this is Etude House lovely cookie blusher in Ginger Honey Cookie. And this formula is amazing, and the packaging with the little puff is just really cute. It's a bit bulky though, but I do really like it. Charlotte Tilbury's Pillow Talk is another like recent addition. This is a bit deeper for me, so it's a good one for variety. So that I want to keep. And I also want to keep my Kiko Milano blush. This is perhaps, maybe I should have put it more with the mauve ones. I've got some mauvey tones over here, but this is definitely like a lighter tone, so for me it works very much like a neutral. So that is going to stay. And then what else do we have going on here? yeah, a lot of these I want to keep, but I am going to be getting rid of my Physicians Formula Butter Blush in the shade Plum Rose. It just doesn't do enough, and this packaging is just really flimsy too, so, and it's bulky, so that's why that's gonna go. And I think of the two blush lighters, I use the peachy one a lot more than I use this one. This is Cass's Sunburst by Essence. It is really pretty, but it's just, I feel that the peach one has a bit more glow to it, and I like that a lot better, and I don't need two of these per se, so that's why this is gonna go. And I just, as you can, I have too many. Tarte Seduced. This is not gonna go anywhere. And, ooh, this one I need to decide on what I want to do with it. Houndstooth from The Balm. This I want to keep. This is definitely a very pretty one. It is a bit deep though, but it is lovely. And then I also really liked Foxglove from KVD Beauty. This is also lovely, and the packaging is stunning. I only have one brown tone blush from Urban Decay, and it's this one in Video, so I want to keep that around. And then I've got this to work with, and one of these at least has to go. The Essence Matte Touch blush is one of my top 5 favorite blushes of all time. The Flower Beauty blush in Spiced Petal is really lovely. And then I have Too Faced's Baby Love. And to be quite honest, I really like the Too Faced formula a lot. And these have been discontinued, so I'm very inclined to keep them. But I haven't reached for this particular shade because the ones I just kept, I tend to reach for those over that one for sure. So I haven't used this one in a while. So that's why this is sort of like on the chopping block. And I just recently tried one of the newer shades from Essence called the Blush. And that was really nice too. It was very sort of universal. So this, I just may decide like this has run its course. I've had my fill. This was lovely, but I now have a newer one from Essence that I like a bit better. So I think I'll get rid of that one. Now the Flower Beauty one to me is very new because Flower Beauty only just recently came to the Netherlands. So I picked up this blush to try it, and I really like the formula. I really, really do. But if I look at everything else that I'm keeping, I just don't really need this. So this is again going to go into the Purgatory box. So I can put it in a Shop My Stash, write a review on this, and then probably get rid of it because I just have too many of these shades. And I do really like the blush though, but I just have too much. And then I can keep the Too Faced one because that's a long-standing favorite. And I'd rather keep something that I've had for a while. And then, for instance, I can very easily pass on the Flower Beauty one to somebody else I know because it is a bit newer. You know what I mean? I think that's the way to move forward. I only have a couple of these like very vibrant pinky toned blushes. So not too many, and I'm going to keep most of these, but I am getting rid of the Natasha Denona Diamond and Glow. This is the reason why I wanted to try more Natasha Denona cheek products, because I loved it, but this has sealed over. It no longer picks up product. And I think it's because it is a mini, that my brush was just a bit big for this as well, so it didn't really work very well. And as you can see, it just has developed hard pan. Dior's what's this called? Backstage Rosy Glow blush. This was a product that had been on my wish list for almost a decade because this came in a bigger compact with a brush for years. But they've made it part of their Backstage line, and now you just get the product, and that's when I purchased it. This is a bit more glowy, and then the In-Stain blush in Lace is matte. And in the wintertime, what I did, which is when I use blush shades like this, is that I combined them as well, and it made for a very pretty look. So I'm going to keep them. I can use them separately if I'd like to, but I can also use them together. Red blush, I can be very short and sweet on, because I'm going to be keeping all 4 of these. I love a good red blush year-round. This is the Fused Heat from Hourglass. I have Urban Decay's Bang, which has been discontinued, but this is lovely in the summertime. I like the Tarte one better in the winter time because it's a bit more pink toned. This is in Natural Beauty. And then just recently when I completed my In-Stain collection, I also purchased Twile, and that's also a bit more pinky toned. So I'm all set when it comes to red blush. So let's talk vibrant, like really electric corals, peaches kind of shades. I don't have too many of them, but I've got a few. And a few of these I love. And a few of these I'm like, nah, could do without it. Too Faced's How Deep Is Your Love is like the Baby Love one. Not one I reach for a whole lot, but it is really lovely, this shade. So I am inclined to keep that over the Revolution, what's this called? Blusher Reloaded in Rhubarb and Custard. This was such a dry formula, and it just didn't look very pretty on the cheeks. And it wasn't as vibrant as it looked online once I got it home. So this has been a bit of a disappointment, so that's gonna go. And then ColourPop's Parakeet is currently in my Shop My Stash, but I am getting rid of it. I'm not a huge fan of ColourPop's pressed powder formula. It is good, but it's not my favorite. And I feel that ColourPop color descriptions on their website are just very confusing. I hardly ever get the shade that I think I'm going to get. So this was 3 times was a charm, but this was the first one I got. And I've had fun with it, but I don't need to keep it around any longer. These ones I want to keep. So the Hourglass one, this is in Incandescent Electra, and this is more like orange rather than like pinky leaning, so I feel that that has something different to offer. The Skin Glazing powder from Nabla in Lola is very glowy, so that's different. And then I have the MAC Glow Play blush in Heat Index, and this is more like a cream to powder thing, and it is sort of that really vibrant coral where it's like, is it a peach? Is it a coral? I'm not entirely sure. So that's why this is lovely. And I do want to keep my Milani Coral Cove around, even though this is now quite dry, and I'm not sure if the formula has really changed, but I just need to try this on my cheeks because it does still swatch really well. So I think that this is one that I'm just going to keep around for that Milani video, but this is one of my favorite blushes for the summertime. So I was saying I was going to keep Luminoso in like Purgatory for that video, but I'm okay with keeping one Milani blush around that I do actually use. And then I have just some really nice ones, and I think this is just a bit more unique. And then we've got some plummy blushes, and you can see right here that that's where I've expanded my collection quite a bit, and I'm actually inclined to keep all of these. Just so you know, because I have really discovered a love for plummy blushes. It's like one step up from mauve. Mood Exposure is perhaps the most wearable of them all because it is a little bit more neutral, so this kind of goes into like the neutral category for me. I have Pinstripe from the Instain line. This is very dark, and I thought it might look like a bruise on my complexion, but luckily for me, this was actually one that worked quite well for me. I was very surprised, and this is great for the fall time. And then I have Rapture from Urban Decay. This was already a very firm favorite for the fall season, and the same goes for It's Wine O'Clock from Catrice. I do really like this one too, so those I want to keep. And then these are all quite new to me, and I decided to keep the ColourPops together. I have found that I really like a cream blush if it's like a deeper shade or like a brighter shade. Let me put these out of the way. So that's why these are all quite new to me. Most of these I haven't even put on my face yet, but I did try these two already. So we've got Cheerio. This is really pretty on me, and Cruel Intentions as well. I do need to blend these in with my sponge after I apply them to make it not look too clownish. Brute Flute is everyone's favorite, it seems, so I haven't tried that on my cheeks. And then I have the MAC Glow Play blush in Rosie Does It. I bought this because I liked Heat Index so much, and I wanted to try some Milk makeup, so I got one of their lip and cheek sticks. This is in the shade Quickie, and it's this really deep, well, plummy shade as well. So those are things I'm going to try. Lighter peachy pink blushes, you could say. I didn't really know where to put some of these because not all of them really go into a category, so I decided to put everything together. This is Ofra's Chiclet blush that they did together with Samantha March. This is lovely. I don't have anything that's this pink in my collection though, so that's why I want to keep it around. It is a bit dark for me, I have to say. And then of these, I'm going to get rid of the ColourPop Press Powder Blush in Catch My Vibe. This was in the Making Mauves collection. It's pretty, but I will not reach for a shade like this. This was, and again, one of those things where it's like, the shade description sounded a lot better than the actual blush shade. The Instain blush in Argyle is the baby pink I'm going to keep over the ColourPop one. And then we have this very light peachy shade from the Balm Springs. This is the Balm Beach, I should say, and this is lovely in the winter time. This is probably, if you have a deeper skin tone, you're like, does that even do anything for you? But in the dead of winter, I'm pale enough to pull this off. That's for sure. And this is another reason why I'm getting rid of Luminoso, because another like peachy toned blush, but that's quite fair, is Cantaloupe from H&M, and this works really well on me. Again, year-round love. But I'm getting rid of the Wet n Wild Color Icon in Rosé Champagne. I just don't use this enough because I use the Balm Beach just a lot more. Righty, and these are my like deeper mauve tone blushes. I just decided to lump them all together. And I'm going to be keeping my Cover FX, what are these called again? Monochromatic Blush Duo in Mojave Mauve. This is quite new to me, and it's like deeper pinky mauve. It's so stunning. You need a very light hand though. And the ColourPop blush I'm keeping is this one. This is from their Dark Blooms collection. It's called Vogue. And this is the only one that I've tried where I'm like, yeah, this shade is on point. So I'm keeping that. And then the blush I was mentioning before from Essence called The Blush in Breathtaking. I found that this is a very universal blush that goes with a lot of different things. So I'm going to keep this over the other one. And these two, I'm going to declutter. The Maybelline Fit Me blush in Nude. This was just borderline old lady, something my mom would wear in the 80s. So not flattering on me. And this, even though I'm not going to get rid of this, I'm going to put it in like a Makeup Memories box or like Purgatory, something like that, because I don't want to get rid of any of my The Balm blushes, but like the Maybelline blush, this is just not the shade for me. Two very lonely blushes in the back that I'm not going to get rid of are Urban Decay's Bittersweet and Wet n Wild's in a Purple Haze. These are, again, like the very bright pink number I told you about, a great pairing. I can wear them separately, but in the wintertime I put them together. Stunning. And then the part of my blush collection that I think I've bought most from in recent years, and that's glowy blush. I used to have like 3 and now this happened. So I am very much inclined to keeping around the Too Faced Peach Beach blush. This is lovely. It's very glowy, very lovely in the summertime. And this is again that lighter peach that just works on me year round. So I know I love that. The Melt Digital Dust Blush in Raw Honey. I keep putting this in Shop My Stashes, and every time I look at this, I'm like, this is way too dark for me. And then I put it on my cheeks, and because it has a sheer formula, it just looks so stunning every time. I'm very much in love with this. I may want to pick up the peach shade, but then what am I going to do with this one, right? So I don't need the peach shade because I already have something else. Natasha Duo Glow in Rayo is also a newer purchase. This is the more pink toned version of that. This is currently in my Shop My Stash. And then the Ciate blush in Matchmaker. This I wore so much in the fall time because it's got that plumminess to it. So really lovely. I could have put that with my plummy blushes. And then again, this is also brand new to me, the Love Cheek Duo from Natasha Denona. I have yet to put this on my face. I'm sort of like this is so pretty. I just want to put it on display. But yeah, I'm really trying some more cream blushes, I thought, and this I thought was a fun starting point. MAC's what's the collection again? I don't know. Was it the Black Cherry Blossom? I think it was. This is Dilly Dolly. This is an Extra Dimension blush. This is my latest blush purchase. It's a very pale pink with a shift. It's not quite gold though, so I'm very curious to see what this will look like on. It's very light, so I think this may be another like good pinky blush, and I don't have that many like true pinky ones. And then I have these two here in the back. These are blushes I reach for as what I think is it Bare Minimals that are now launching bronzers, or what are they called? They're like blush bronzer, like they can do both. And I just use these two products. So this is a bronzer from I Heart Revolution. This is a like very pink tone bronzer, and it's got a bit of gold running through it. And this is stunning on the cheeks on a really hot summer day if you don't want to wear too much makeup. So that one I'm going to keep around. And I've always kept around this Flormar terracotta powder in marble pink gold for the same reason. But this is a bit more bronzery. It's a little less pink. This is a bit more golden tone. So I think it's now time to get rid of this. I mean, we don't have that many hot summer days where I do want to wear makeup. So that's why I think I'll just do it like this and get rid of this one. And then I'm going to keep my Becca Flying Saucers. These are the champagne splits. Becca's of course going to be discontinued, but this is my favorite Pamplemousse and Prosecco Pop. And then I have Flower Child and Champagne Pop. I don't have these highlighters anywhere else, and I do really like these blushes, and this is another reason why I'm getting rid of that Jouer blush, because I feel that Flower Child is very similar to that and as a shade. And of course this kind of like hot coral you just saw me keep a lot because I love wearing that in the summertime. And then I just have two left, and these are a bit difficult for me to decide on. This is the Too Faced Berries and Bubbly. And this was one of the first like glowy blushes that I purchased back when I was like, ooh, maybe a glowy blush is something I should try. But I just don't like the scent of Too Faced makeup. I'm not gonna lie. I can't remember the last time I tried this. And all of this range was just incredibly, incredibly dark for my pale skin. This is the only one I could make work. And rather than like glowy, this is more shimmery, I feel. So that's why this one I think is just one that can go. I would go for Peach Beach over this as a glowy blush any time of day, even though I think the packaging is really cute, but I can get rid of this. And then the Balm Fire Beach Goer. This is a duo. I haven't heard anybody talking about these, but this is a like sort of like Nars Orgasm kind of shade, and then it has this, and this is like a cool toned. This could work as a highlighter. It's so shiny. So I think this may be a bit too intense for like in terms of glowy blush, but like I said, I don't want to break up my The Balm collection, so this is definitely going to go into like makeup purgatory, memory box kind of thing, because I do want to keep all of my The Balm products around because I just think it makes for a really cute collection. So I'll never get rid of these per se, but I am no longer going to be keeping it in my makeup collection because I don't see myself wearing this a lot. So there are 19 blushes that are leaving my collection. This one I still need to make my mind up about what I am thinking of it, and then it's going to go. And these three are going to go into storage, and everything else I'm going to get rid of. Alright, now it's time to go through this bad boy. So we've got bronzers at the front and highlighters in the back. And as you can see, the highlighters have a lot of overflow. And also this bronzer stuff used to fit into one cubby. And now if I want to put everything in, it kind of takes up the whole thing. And I'm supposed to put face powders here somewhere too. So this definitely needs a cull. So bronzer is definitely an area where I've expanded my collection a lot because I wanted to try a lot of fair toned bronzers. And yeah, there's just things here where I'm like, oh yeah, I can definitely get rid of that. I don't need that. There are some very firm favorites in here too. One recent discovery is the Nabla Skin Glazing Bronzer in the shade Ambra. Yes, it's Ambra. This is lovely. And now now that I look at everything laid out, I know I don't need to get a backup of my Becca Bali Sands, because Becca is of course going to be discontinuing their entire line. And this is a bronzer that I can see myself using up. But if I were to repurchase a bronzer, then I could repurchase this because I feel they give the same effect. But these are two of my favorites, so these are not going anywhere. The same goes for the Makeup Forever. I put my favorites in the middle, it seems. Look at the wear on this. This is just looking worse every time I show you this. This is another one that I feel I could potentially use up. It's their Pro Bronze Fusion in 20M. And the one I'm currently working on in my Shop My Stash is the Solar Powder from Soap & Glory. This has been discontinued, but here as well, I've got a huge dip on this lighter side, and I think I might actually be able to hit pan on this. And it is my goal to hit pan on a bronzer in 2021. So I think I'm going to make it this one. Let's talk about things that I know I can get rid of, and I need to see, yeah. So I've got 2 of these Hourglass powders, and one of them is a face powder. That would be this one. That's Radiant Light, and this is one of their actual bronzers. This is the bronzer in Nude Bronze Light. And I found out why I never reached for this. I put it in a Shop My Stash, and I barely reached for it because it's too pink. So that can go, and I'm going to keep Radiant Light, this, together with the Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil bronzer. This is my summer combo, and this is the bronzer that if I want to do a contour, I use this. So those I'm going to keep. The ColourPop Press Powder Bronzer in Coconut Beach. I bought this for a full face of ColourPop. This is gonna go. Yeah, Hula Light. So I put this in my Shop My Stash together with the Hourglass powder to decide if I liked it. I fell in love with it again, so that's gonna stay. The Fenty Beauty bronzer in the Sun I also really love, so that's gonna stay. Take Home the Bronze bronzer in Oliver, sadly discontinued by the Balm, but this is another one that I could potentially hit pan on. This is one of my all-time favorite bronzers as well, so that's gonna stay. But like in the blush category, I am going to put my Balm Desert away somewhere else. This is another one of those bronzer blush duos. It already was on the market before, but this is a little bit too pink toned for me to work as a bronzer. I prefer a yellow tone bronzer on me, and this is just going to go with the rest of my The Balm collection. Now I think people are going to yell at me if I do this, but I'm pretty solid that I want to get rid of my Butter bronzer, mainly because the packaging no longer closes, and I feel that that's causing it to dry out. So the clasp on this just, I don't know, something happened to it. It no longer works. And as you can see, I have so many bronzers that I love that are also at the drugstore. I don't think we've talked about much drugstore stuff yet, but I know there are a couple here that I know I can keep that do something similar for me and that are much newer than this one. I love this bronzer, don't get me wrong, but I've had my fun with it. One of those bronzers that I've tried recently that I fell in love with is the Kiko Shade Fusion Flawless Fusion Bronzing Powder in 1. Do you see how light and cool toned this is? This, if you're fair skinned and you've got a cool to neutral undertone, don't sleep on this one. The formula on this is really lovely too. And I also really like my Maybelline The City bronzer in, what's the shade is this in? Medium Warm 250. This is not a warm tone bronzer at all. It's very sheer. So that's another drugstore one I want to keep around. I'm going to get rid of its sister product, the Back to Bronze Universal Bronzing Powder from L'Oreal. Why does L'Oreal think that only having one bronzer shade is fine? I don't get it. This is far too orange. And I feel similarly about this Max Factor one. This is in Light Gold, the cream bronzer. This was pretty, I have to say. I tried it, I really did like it. It's just, the undertone just isn't perfect for me. And if I look at everything that I'm keeping, this can definitely go. And I also have some like Catrice stuff here, and this is the Clean ID Mineral Bronzer in Light Medium. This is the first bronzer Catrice did in their regular line that works for me. It is a bit deep for me for year round, but in like the spring, summertime, I can make it work. So this I'm going to keep around. And I'm also inclined to keep around their Sungasm Illuminating Bronzer, or Luminizing Bronzer. It's good to have some glowy bronzers too. And this is pink toned, but this is that sort of like bronzer that I can use as a blush if I'd like to. And this was really pretty on the cheeks, so I do want to keep that. It was limited edition for summer last year, but I'm going to get rid of these pebbles. I try so many of these like bronzers and powders with like pebbles and spheres, but they just get stuck in your brush and then they kind of fall, they roll everywhere, and just, it was fun while it lasted. I want to keep the Too Faced Sweet Tea bronzer. This is another glowy bronzer that I love. I almost decluttered it last year, then decided to keep it around for my full face of Too Faced. Used it again, loved it. I cannot, like, this is in my Shop My Stash at the moment. I haven't put it on my face a lot yet, but the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade 1. Super fair, super lovely. I have to keep that one. I can't not do that. And then I've got some other things here. I'm really torn between these two Essence ones, because like with Catrice, Essence doesn't really do a lot of bronzers for fair skin tone, and they just recently started doing some. This, even though it's called Cool Tone, it was a bit too deep for me. And I did really like the Hello Good Stuff bronzer in Cocoa Cool. So I actually think maybe I should give these a swatch real quickly just to see. Oh, this is a very creamy formula, so maybe that's why I like it. Just to compare them, you know? Like, this barely shows up on me. On the back of my hand anyway. This feels a lot drier. Yeah, I think I like that bottom one a lot more. But yeah, I only need to keep around one Essence bronzer, so I'll keep this one because it's a bit more universally flattering for me, and I'll get rid of this, even though this is the newest one I have. And then these ones, if I want to go for like a reddish tone bronzer, I tend to use the Urban Decay Beach Bronzer in Sunkissed. Yes, Sunkissed. This only works for me in the summertime. It's far too dark for me any other time of the year, but that's also the only time that I would wear a bronzer with this kind of undertone. So it's good to have a red tone bronzer around that I can use. So I'm going to keep this around. Again, this was almost decluttered last time. Kept it around for my full face of Urban Decay. Fell in love with it again. Keeping it. This is why I don't swatch a lot in these kind of videos, by the way. Then I just want to keep everything because all of these products are lovely. There's nothing wrong with them. And then I have the number 7 bronzer in, is it Golden Sand? Golden Sand. And the Makeup Revolution Bronzer Reloaded in Holiday Romance. And I definitely don't need both. And I feel that this is actually quite similar to things I'm already keeping. And this is a baked product, and I'm not a huge fan of baked products. Even though I do really like both of these, because they're both of them are very fair. Shall I swatch them for you? I'll swatch them for you. So, you probably can't even really see them. I think I like the Makeup Revolution one a bit better, because I'm not keeping anything else that's baked. Because I'm getting rid of the Max Factor one, and I do think I have reviews up for both of these already, so I don't think I need to necessarily keep this one around for review. I'm going to check my blog to see if that's true, and then I can just get rid of it. It's a lovely product. I really, really like this. I really, really do, but if I just look at all the bronzers I'm keeping, I mean, the Nabla, the Becca, they do something similarly for me. Okay, so I started off with 27 bronzers, and I'm getting rid of 9, and I'm keeping 18, so that's about a third, yeah, exactly a third gone, so I think that's pretty good. Alright, and then finally in today's video, we are going to be looking at my highlighter collection. As you can see, it barely fits into the frame, so we definitely need to get rid of some things. There's just a lot here, and I definitely don't reach for all of these things, and I'm looking at these things and I'm like, oh yeah, these guys over here, the Essence Bloom Baby Bloom limited edition highlighters, like this was very glittery, and I'm not even sure what this was supposed to do, so those two definitely gonna go. Those were, like, I try these products for my blog to write reviews, and then they just either end up working or they don't. I'm also going to get rid of this Makeup Revolution highlighter this is the highlighter reloaded in Dare to Divulge. Like the blush, I thought this was very dry, and I don't like it. A newer highlighter that I do really like is the Melt Digital Dust highlighter in Morning Star. This is a really nice, like, peachy duochrome kind of thing, so I love that. I also really love my Mary Luminizer from the Balm. In fact, I've hit pan on it, so this is not going anywhere. If I go for a golden toned highlighter, I go for that, and that's why this Ofra one in Rodeo Drive is gonna go. This is a lovely highlighter. I really like Ofra highlighters, don't get me wrong, but I have too many golden toned highlighters. And if I reach for a golden toned highlighter, I reach for my Mary Lou and not this one. So what I am keeping is Pillow Talk by Ofra, because I do really like the formula, and I'm not really into these like icy pink kind of shades anymore, but I put this in a Shop My Stash over the winter time, and it looked really lovely on. So I do want to keep something like that, just so I have something, but I've been veering more toward peaches and golds in the past 2 years. So I do want to keep something like that around, but I don't need to keep everything. And then Ofra, I also am going to get rid of Blissful. This is a lovely rose gold highlighter. But if I go for a rose gold, I go for something else. I love this formula. Again, I really, really love the Ofra formula. This is just a little bit too deep for me. It's not perfect, and I have one Ofra highlighter in my collection, but this can go. This Milani one I am keeping around. This is actually from my current Makeup Purgatory box. I have put stuff in these declutters that were already sort of like somewhere in limbo, because I want to do a full face of Milani. So this is currently not going anywhere, but this was not my favorite formula. It is pretty. It is a very pretty blush, but I have to say, or a blush, a highlighter, but I have to say that I have other highlighters that I like better that also have a peachy tone. So that's why this one is in Purgatory, but this is gonna go once I do that full face. So let's talk about a peach toned blush highlighter. Why do I keep these things blushes? That has just replaced almost every other one, and it's the Nabla Skin Glazing Powder in Privilege. It's so stunning. So I know that that's like the peach toned highlighter of all peach toned highlighters, and that, for instance, means that I can get rid of this. This is the Pixie by Petra Subtle Sunrise Glowy Gossamer Duo. This is so pretty, and it's that Baked Gelée formula that the Nabla has as well, but this one has always been a little bit too dark for me. This is that like icy pink that I'm already keeping in the Ofra, so I no longer need this. I just don't. What do I want to talk about next? Well, I was talking about how I don't want to keep so many of these like lighter pinky shades, but another one I do really want to keep is my Urban Decay Aura highlighter. Everybody went crazy for Sin, but this is the one that I bought, and can you just see how much I've used it? This is not like pink pink, it's more like a pink to lavender shift, which I like. Fenty Beauty Kilowatt highlighter in Lightning Dust and Fire Crystal. Can you see that pinprick of a pan? So this is another one where I've hit pan on it. I really, really like this. Again, if I want to go for something icier, I do really like that shade. I don't love the more muted one in here, but I do really like Fire Crystal. And then I have one of the Diamond Bombs in How Many Carats. This is just a mini, and I'm glad I got this as a mini because I don't think this is my favorite. It's very, very glittery, but I have only just bought this. I'm still trying it out in my Shop My Stash. I haven't made up my mind yet. This Catrice one, the Sungasm Face and Body Highlighter. This is so pretty, but it's also very big. This looks really dark, but then when you swatch it, it actually isn't that deep. However, there's another highlighter here from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the, I keep forgetting the name, the Hollywood Superstar Glow Highlighter. And I feel that they are actually similar in the sense that they look really deep in the pan, but then when you swatch it or you wear it, it's just not that deep. So I wanted to compare these. Oh no, the Charlotte Tilbury is much deeper. Much more of a champagne than the Catrice one. So they are different enough to keep. The Charlotte Tilbury is like borderline too dark for me. I'm very aware. Let me swatch the Charlotte Tilbury against this Dior one. This is the nude, ooh, what's this called again? Dior Skin Nude Air Luminizer in 001. This is another one of those Baked Gelée things. And this I love in the summertime, and I think, ooh, no, that's again different. So I'm definitely going to be keeping these two. This is going to go into the maybe pile because I'm not sure yet. I am going to make a decision between, well, I guess these three or four, really, because these I feel are all quite similar. Especially these two, like shade-wise. The More Than Glow highlighter from Catrice is very similar to Colourpop's Flexitarian, I find, and I just think this formula is easier to work with. This is in the shade Ultimate Platinum Gaze, and this is a Baked Gelée formula. This is a cream to powder. So I'm going to get rid of the Colourpop, keep the Catrice. And I actually feel that the Essence one is very similar to the Catrice one in shade. So I do... This is one that I'm going to keep around for videos because I have to keep an Essence highlighter around. I just do. So I'm going to keep it around for that. But ever since I bought the Catrice one and I found that, I like it a lot better than I do this. So this can go into the Purgatory box. And I'm getting rid of the Physicians Formula Butter highlighter. I know I'm getting rid of a lot of my physician's formula stuff. It's just, I'm not reaching for these things, and I just have better ones that I prefer over this. I was getting rid of that ColourPop highlighter, but the Hades highlighter in Everybody's Got a Weakness, this is with I keep it in the box just to hopefully not have this dry out as quickly, but this is one that's really, really lovely. It is a bit deep, but because I applied this with a sponge, it works really well. The Zoeva Soft Sun Highlighter, I really do like this. This is actually a blush, but I decided to buy one that didn't have too much of the blushy shade. This is in Cinnamon Sky. And then you just have this really pretty, really soft focus, little bit glittery, vanilla kind of highlighter. It's just that I have other things going on here that I would reach for over this, so this can go. Speaking of vanilla highlighters that are a bit more subtle that I like much better, the Kiko Shade Fusion, is that Glow Fusion in 1? I would reach for this over the Zoeva one any time of day. Let me see how similar they are, but I feel they are quite similar. Oh yeah, I even like the Kiko one better. I only have one white gold highlighter. This is why I don't own the Anastasia, what was it called? White Ice, whatever, that new one that came out. I don't own that because I have this. And as you can see, it's got a huge dent. This is by Annabelle, which is a Canadian drugstore brand. And it's their Perfect Glow highlighter in Topaz. If we're talking shifty highlighters then, the Annabelle Holo Lighter in, is it Pegasus? Yeah, this is like a peach to pink, or pink to peach. I want to keep that. And I also want to keep Thunderstruck. This is an eyeshadow from KVD. And this is another one of those like vanilla kind of things, but it has that shift. And this is a bit stronger too, so I do really like that. So, and they're very small, so they don't really take up too much space. And I also really want to keep my Benefit highlighters around the Dandelion and the Cookie. Something subtle, something more intense, especially the Cookie one. You can see I went to town on that one. I also really like both of my MAC highlighters, but I need to start using these more. These are like sort of like really lovely products in my collection. I've got Double Gleam, and I bought that secondly because I liked Show Gold so much. This is again a bit deeper, and it's got a pink to gold shift. And Double Gleam this is another reason why I can get rid of Flexitarian, because wow. And I can get rid of this Catrice highlighter, actually. This highlighter from Catrice I bought for a recent video to try some OG Catrice products. And I was like, they still do this? I put it on my face and I did fall in love with it all over again, but I have that one Catrice highlighter that I just love so much more than this, so I don't need to keep this one around. The Laura Geller Baked Highlighter Duo in French Vanilla and Portofino is stunning. I just don't, because Portofino looks so gold in the pan, I don't reach for it. French Vanilla, however, is really lovely as an under eye setting powder. I just don't use designated under eye setting powders. I just don't. But in case you're very fair skinned and you can still find this product, in terms of like a good like banana powder, I feel it doesn't get any better than this. Maybe should go in the face drawer, like the face powder part of my collection. Hourglass's Iridescent Strobe Lighting Powder. I do really like this. And this is also a little bit, isn't it like a little bit glittery? Ooh, it's definitely a little bit more subtle. And it's got that, yeah, this is really lovely. I should put this in a Shop My Stash. My Becca highlighters aren't going to go anywhere, because there's a reason why I've got 4 of these. Out of everything, I just have the most of these. These are quite recent, so I've got Pearl, I've got Rose Gold, no, Rose Quartz, not Rose Gold, Vanilla Quartz, and my ultimate favorite, Prismatic Amethyst. So I've quickly cleaned off my hands so I can swatch these side by side for you. In my brain, the Anastasia Ambrisi highlighter and the NARS highlighter in Fort de France do the same thing. They're not 100% dupes. I'm not saying they are, but if you missed out on the Ambrisi highlighter, have a look at NARS Fort de France. So both of these to me are golden toned highlighters that give me like that glass-like finish on the skin. The Anastasia, because it is a deeper gold, lays on my skin more than the NARS. The NARS blends into nothing, and really just looks like a sheen. So for me personally, the NARS is more perfect. So I'm going to keep this, but I'm going to get rid of this one. Shocker, I know, but I am not going to get rid of this. This is definitely going to go into my makeup memories box because this lovely packaging, I can never declutter. And then we've got a very controversial product from a very controversial brand. This is the He Who Shall Not Be Named product in hypothermia. And this just hurts my heart because I never talk about his products anymore on my channel for obvious reasons. But this highlighter, I have nothing like it in my collection. Like, we've got some sun out right now as well. Like, it looks a bit brownish if you turn it this way, and then depending on how the light hits it, you can like get that really, well, the camera doesn't even do it justice, but it looks green in some lights. In other lights it looks purple, in other lights it looks blue. It can look like a bruise, and that's the reason why I'm not going to keep it around, but I do want to keep it in my makeup memory box because this is such a different, special product. Not because of the person behind the brand. And then we have the Too Faced Love Light highlighter in Ray of Light. I had so much fun playing around with this again. I almost decluttered it, yes, last year, but this is such a stunning, like, it's a peach tone highlighter, but it's not as strong and shiny as other ones that I have, and I like having a mix between really strong things and more subtle things. So I think I can keep this around. And then we have my latest addition to my highlighter collection, which are these little Kaleidos fellas. None of these are gonna go. I haven't even put Moon Cruiser on my face, but I just wanted to be transparent and show you that I have these. I'm still playing around with these. I just played around with the Space Age Prophecy, the multi-chrome one that they do. Whew, I just played around with it the other day, and it's intense. It's not for the faint of heart, so this is definitely really, really pretty. These are my shifty, really special, different highlighters that I'm currently really having fun with, playing around with on days where I'm not filming videos, because you haven't seen these yet, because I always play with makeup before I put them in Shop My Stashes and etc, etc. So yeah, that's these products. So I feel my cheek declutter isn't as epic as it was last year. I have no clue how many highlighters I started off with. I really don't. So yeah, that is 16 highlighters that I'm getting rid of, but I think I'm keeping more than enough to to see me through the day. So yeah, thank you very much for watching today's video. That would be the end of my cheek declutter. I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I've got some more declutters coming your way for sure. And I will also be reorganizing my makeup collection once all of those videos are up. So stay tuned for that. And I also make other videos about makeup and fashion over on this channel. So I hope you'd like to stick around for that. I hope you have a great day today. And yeah, thank you very much for watching today's video. Bye bye!